Hey team, want to make a quick video. I am vegan. I've also been vegetarian since about 2006. So I've been vegan since 2019, vegetarian since 2006, and I've had this thought process where it's been deemed hypocritical that I like vegan burgers, and that's kind of weird to me, a little bit ridiculous actually. I do know that obviously there are different types of vegan burgers, but I will smell a barbecue going and I'll be like, that smells good, and then I've been told that I'm a hypocrite for that, that I must like meat because I think it smells good. And I think it's a combination of the charcoal and barbecue sauce, and it's just a memory of home. I know my parents eat meat, and I love my dad. My dad makes the best barbecue vegan burgers that I've ever tasted. So I've been told that I'm a hypocrite for liking the smell of barbecue, for liking vegan burgers, or, because I say burgers, and they think meat. And it's, my favorite are black bean burgers, obviously vegan. I do also like the soy burgers. I ate them so much when I first became vegetarian that I think I actually did develop something of a soy intolerance. It wasn't as noticeable when I was having the soy burgers, but it was noticeable when I was drinking soy milk. I just couldn't stomach it. It would turn my stomach. But the burgers seemed fine. There are soy patties that actually hold together on the barbecue better than other burgers. And, so one of the best things is that they do not taste like meat. And at first, it's kind of a weird texture if you haven't had the soy patty for, ever. It's kind of weird starting out, and then you kind of get used to it. And then, like I said, I had so many of them that it just was like, it's then that's a burger. That's what it is. It's the soy is your instinct because you have it so often and it's so good. And so it doesn't taste like meat unless you get the new burgers that have the chemicals and things in them to taste like meat. And I think I actually was served one of those, and I could not stomach it. It was not good. I actually felt like it had less flavor than any vegan or vegetarian burger that I have had in the last, however many years since 2006. I tried it and it was just like grease and boring and plain, versus the black bean burgers and the soy with the barbecue. It's just I feel like it has better flavor. But I will upon occasion get the soy meat substitutes, and I've been told that that's hypocritical as well, because why would I need beef crumbles, soy crumbles for recipes if I don't like the flavor of meat? And I will say I actually did like the flavor of meat. And so I feel like that's kind of unfair too. But like I said, and it's complicated because when I became vegetarian primarily for animal welfare, animal rights, and to save them. I didn't want to see that fear. I didn't want to think of them, being slaughtered and then consuming them. That didn't sit well with me. And so I said, that plus, hearing about them being tucked together too close in cages and being genetically modified to have more meat on their bones. They couldn't even support their own weight. It just didn't sit well with me. I thought it was disgusting, and I didn't want to perpetuate that in our system, in our lifestyles. I didn't need to hurt them to be sustaining, to move forward in my life. So I stopped eating meat at that point. But I will say at that time, pepperoni pizza was my favorite food, and I also really liked bacon. And, I grew up in a meat household. We would have chili dogs, and I will say I was never a big fan of like pork chops, and a lot of the beef. I would see little bits of fat and I'd pick them out, and I thought that was gross. And after I found those little bits of like cartilage or whatever, I generally would stop eating. But I did like burgers, and, didn't like meatloaf, didn't really care care for tater tot hot dish, didn't really care for hot taco rice. Every once in a while I would have it and I could like drown out the meat with like the ketchup, or, like I had the chips and the rice with the hot taco rice. And, but I wasn't the biggest eater on that, but I loved pepperoni and I loved bacon. I really liked chili dogs, whatever, the canned chili, whatever sort of meat, that was, I liked it a lot. I liked the flavor. So number one, it's not like it's being vegetarian or vegan. It doesn't like mean that you can no longer, like you don't just take that out of who you are. People become vegetarian and vegan for so many different reasons. And that I did like the flavor of meat. It was a sacrifice to a certain extent. It was something worth fighting for. It was something worth caring about. And I kind of told myself I could still have meat, but on like special occasions, and then I just didn't. So I wasn't actually like 100% going to give it up, and then I did. Just I'm not 100% sure why I made that official decision, because I said I could still have pepperoni pizza on my birthday, but I just when my birthday came around, or I just didn't. And I continued to not, and I just never had it again, except for accidents here and there. And then I would generally cry because people would be like, there was meat in there, and then I have to go excuse myself and cry and just be like, I just failed as a vegetarian, I just failed as a vegan, stuff like that. And it shouldn't be like that either. Like, it's accidental, and you really can't be faulted for that when that happens. That's not hypocrisy when oopses happen. Having liked the flavor of meat, that's an undeniable truth, and that's not hypocrisy either. I've had the meat replacements. First off, soy crumbles taste nothing like beef, so you're fine there. I've had the sausage substitutes. I love those in tater tot hot dish, using that instead of beef. So that's the spice that I like. So, I've been told, I actually haven't had that probably for 10, 10-ish years, 10 plus years, having the sausage substitutes, and that, like, the chicken nuggets I have had more recently, and I've had like vegan corn dogs, and I was told that was hypocrisy, because how could I like the taste of corn dogs as a vegan, as, vegetarian? And first off, that, like I said, I grew up liking meat. I did like corn dogs. I primarily liked the breading, I will be honest. I loved the breading on corn dogs, but I like the flavor of it. And it's unfair to say that that's hypocritical. And I don't have them, because I know it's, for some people it's just dramatic, and it's not worth having that argument but it's not hypocrisy if it is vegan, because you're still not, you're still promoting healthy lifestyles for animals. You're still saving their lives if it's a vegan or vegetarian food. It doesn't matter if it tastes like it or not. It's fake. It's not real. The animals are safe, and it's a more sustainable lifestyle. So that does not matter. It is not hypocrisy to like a vegan or vegetarian hot dog every once in a while. And granted, I didn't really like the hot dogs, but for some reason the corn dogs were fine. And so it's tough, because, people will give you flack, and it's complex, and it's not really fair to just say I will no longer like the smell of meat or the smell of barbecue. That's not fair. Saying that I can't like a vegan corn dog, that's not fair. I do keep it minimal, but I just wanted to kind of make a video to say, hey, these are still, working towards the goal that I became a vegetarian for, and that is saving animal lives, creating ethical practices, and of course, a lot of, obviously, animals have been taken for granted as a food source since the beginning of time. And, I'm not going to argue that with people. I know that, but I don't want to do that. And I don't want to be responsible for that because I'm not comfortable. I would not kill an animal myself. And I do not want to meet the cow, essentially, because I would never do that to a cow. And that is who I am. That is who I want to be. And so, obviously, being vegan, it was a different, reasoning. It was more about resources and not about the ethics of eggs and, that and things like that. But, I will argue those points as well. But it was kind of to save natural resources and get less agriculture towards animal feed and more towards human feed, less agriculture, less water towards animals and more towards human beings. So that was kind of more of the reasoning there. It was less about exploiting animals for eggs and cheese and things like that. I hadn't done any real research into that element of it, and I definitely should, because I have been vegan since 2019 and it is 2023 now. But I just wanted to say that it's not hypocrisy. That's an unfair extrapolation. That's something that is not really okay. If I were to say that I am vegetarian because I hate all meat and I hate the flavor of all meat, and then I like the flavor of meat, it would be hypocrisy, but it's something dumb to argue over. Be like I don't eat it anymore, so it's like a nostalgic, this smells good, or it reminds me of my family, this smells good. And so it's dumb because it's like you're trying to make me feel guilty for sensory memory, and that so it's just dumb. And that, like, barbecue, I just really like vegan burgers, and I'm not going to feel guilty about that. I'm not going to feel guilty about loving my dad's barbecue, if he happens to have real burgers on with mine, and of course we can talk about my preferences. I would, he has a special spatula for me, and that doesn't touch the meat, and because he loves me, and so he takes care of me like that. Like, we've talked about like meat juices, and I didn't want the meat juices to be on my burgers, and he takes care of me like that, and I love him for that. And so, like, we can talk about this till the cows come home. I like going to restaurants and asking them to clean the grills, or like asking if what oil they used for their French fries, things like that. If they fry chicken in the same oil they fry French fries, and like, where do you draw the line, and like things like that. But sometimes you get French fries that taste like chicken nuggets, and you're like, but literally the only vegetarian thing at this restaurant is French fries. There's nothing else. So, I guess there's that, or rather vegan, because vegetarian, you can like get a burger without the burger and still have like the lettuce and the, it's like a sandwich then. But vegan is harder because sometimes the breads will have eggs, or will have, butter or whatever on the, and so that, sometimes it's just like French fries, or you leave the restaurant, and if you're with people, then you're like, all right, well, I do know someone who actually brings food to restaurants in that circumstance, and says, I don't care, I'm not having that, I'm going to eat my own food. And it's kind of personal preference at that point. I will make allowances for oils being reused. Some people won't. But I do prefer a clean grill. I have asked them to clean the grill, especially some places will offer to clean the grill and get the meat juices off. And so it's really personal preference. It's how much you're willing to request these things and nuances, and that's personal preference, and they can't really guilt you for that, because it all depends on why you're doing what you're doing, and how you feel about it, and that can change from time to time and what have you. So, but anyway, so yeah, I think that's all I had to say. It's being vegetarian, being vegan. Your diet is very personal to you. A lot of people might be just social vegetarians, or they'll be vegetarians privately and then eat meat out when they're out, or be vegans privately and vegetarians when they're being out and about. And I've not actually heard of meat eaters in that circumstance where they'll have meat when they're out and about. But Some folks are vegetarian, they prefer vegetarian foods, but they will have meat upon occasion. It's all personal preference, and you can't really fault people for that. And you can't really, like, some vegetarians eat fish. I do not. Um, it's really just what they want. It's up to them. Let them have it. Let them do what they need to do, what they want to do. Um, it's it's personal. So with that, I'm just going to say it's their right. Let them choose. It's my right. Let me choose. Sometimes things get a little like can get tough. Things can get a little nuancy, and sometimes you don't know, and then you're like, oh my gosh, oh, should I eat that anymore? Or like whatever. So, just life is a journey. So, I'm gonna ask you to lighten up. Don't guilt anybody. Just kind of live and let live, and that's it. I will talk to you later.